I'm Beth Biundo, owner of Beth Biundo Sweets, a bakery in Uptown New Orleans. And today I will be showing everyone attending Art in Bloom how to make a butter shortbread using fresh flower petals from your garden. So here I have some flower petals I've candied that we'll be using on the shortbread at the end of it. You want to use non-sprayed, non-poisonous petals, so do check that. I have a lot of roses here, some violas, Johnny jump ups. So check and make sure the flowers in your garden don't have pesticide and aren't poisonous, and you'll be good to go. And to start making this, we are going to make the shortbread cookie, and then I'll show you how to candy the petals and add them on. So we'll end up with these pretty little shortbread cookies. The shortbread is a really simple cookie recipe, and we'll have it on the website. I'm going to start by making the cookie dough, which is 8 ounces or 2 sticks of unsalted butter, 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to mix that together in the mixer and then add 2 cups of flour. So I will show you how to do that. If you don't have a stand mixer or KitchenAid mixer like I do here, you can use a hand mixer. I would probably not recommend doing this by hand because it would not be super smooth. And so I have my butter and my powdered sugar, vanilla and salt at the beginning, and we'll be adding the flour after this is mixed. That's 3/4 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to use the paddle attachment to mix this. You want to mix that on the mixer until it's completely smooth and the butter is creamed. I'm just going to use my spatula to make sure it mixes well. Now I'm going to add 2 cups of flour once it's completely creamed. You're going to mix this till it just comes together. You don't want to overmix at this point. When your dough is completely mixed, you take it off the mixer, and it needs to be rolled into like long logs, and we'll chill it at this point. So I like to roll mine in parchment paper. It makes it a lot easier. If you only have like wax paper, that'll work as well. And at this point, you could either refrigerate it or freeze it. So if you wanted to make it in advance, you could keep this in the freezer and just pull out a log when you needed it. And so I'm going to make this into 2 logs of cookie. Let's take about half your dough. Then you just roll it in your paper. Each of these will make about 12 cookies. So the whole recipe should make 2 dozen, and you can easily double it, triple it, as much as you want. If you're going to be using this in the next day or 2, just refrigerate it. If you want to hold it for longer than that, you can freeze it. I have some dough here that I already chilled. When you're ready to use it, you'll just take it out, and it'll be easy to slice. You can see here, it's nice and hard, but not frozen. If you do freeze it, you'll want to take it out for about 20 minutes before you actually slice it. And to bake this, you're gonna preheat your oven to 325 and then bake them for about 20 to 22 minutes. Now I like to put a little sparkly sugar on the outside. Don't need to do this, and you could just use regular sugar, but then it does give a nice little crunch. So I just roll it in here before I slice it. You can just get these little containers of sugar. I got this at Fresh Market today. You can get it pretty much anywhere at a better grocery store. And now that I have it coated in my sparkly sugar, I'm going to slice them. I just want to slice them about, I'm going to say this is a 1/2 inch thick. About 1/4 to 1/2. And when they're chilled, they just slice really neatly like this. So you don't want to take your dough out too early. If you're going to be slicing, take it out of the refrigerator right before you're going to slice it. And your end pieces you can bake, they'll be a little ugly, but for your nice slices, you can take the middle. And I like to use a parchment-lined baking sheet. You can just lay them out. You want to space them a little bit, but they don't spread a ton. There's no baking powder or baking soda in these, so. And you'll have your oven preheated to 325 at this point, and we'll put it in for about 20 to 22 minutes. You want the edges to just brown. And I already baked some off. And this is how they should look. You can see they're still light, but brown on the edges, and you have a little bit of the sugar on the outside. And at this point, they would be delicious. You could eat them plain like this, but to make them a little prettier, really nice for a party, a shower, something like that, I like to put candied petals on them so they look like this. And for all of you gardeners, it's nice if you can get them from your own garden. You just want to make sure you're not using any with pesticide on them, which you can ask where you're buying them if you don't have them in your own yard. The candied petals are something you're going to want to do in advance. You want to let them dry a little bit before you put them on the cookies. You could do this in the morning and they'd be dry in a few hours. And then when your cookies come out, you let them fully cool and you can add them on. So to candy the petals, I have a sort of variety of flowers here. I also have some herbs, which can be nice. And it's very easy. All you do is brush them with egg white and then cover them in sugar. And if you're worried about using raw egg white, for the purposes of this, you're really not getting very much. I think it's fine, but you can buy the pasteurized egg whites in a carton. And to do it, you want to get a brush. Bigger is a little bit better. And I like to use a natural brush instead of a artificial bristle brush. It does work a little better. And you just lightly brush one of your petals with egg white on both sides, and then cover it in sugar. And I'm putting it on a little parchment-lined paper so it doesn't stick. And that will eventually look like this, all these that have already dried. And it's nice if you can get an assortment of colors. I have some deeper pinks. I have these little purple ones we can do. Now for a large flower like this, you'll want to pull the petals apart. For something smaller, you can actually candy the entire flower, which is very pretty on the front of a cookie. So it just depends on what you have access to. You want to shake off the sugar so there's not too much. We'll just let that dry. And then for herbs, you kind of want to cut them into manageable pieces. And you can do the same thing. Now you're not going to get them covered as much as with the petals, but you can do nice. And I like to use both on the same cookie as a little green accent. So. And you want to have at least 2 or 3 petals for every cookie you're planning to make. There will be some loss. They're very fragile. They do tear a little, so you don't want to end up running out because you didn't candy enough petals. Like one flower ends up being, you can see this, a ton. So you actually don't need that many flowers to do a dozen cookies. But you do absolutely want to candy extra so you don't get to the end and run out. I know I probably lost half of them. They stuck or tore. They are really delicate. So this is a pretty darker pink one. And you'll let your petals dry for a couple of hours. I'd say at least 2 or 3 hours or overnight. And if you want to store them at this point, put them in like a Tupperware or something that'll keep them dry. They'll absorb humidity. But if they're dry, they'll hold up for weeks. And now you can start decorating your cookies. You can use 1 petal on each. You can do an assortment. And you just stick them on using a little mixture of royal icing. I have it in a piping bag, but you could put it in just a Ziploc or on with a little toothpick. This is just a mixture of powdered sugar and egg white. And I have it kind of thick, as you can see, so we can stick the petal on. So for the first one, I'm just gonna do 3 little petals. So I'll put 3 drops of frosting. Just place them on. Do another with sort of a mix of herb. You want to go very light on this frosting. You don't want it to show. See it? Here's one with an entire flower on it. It's really pretty. I'm going to do some with different colors. This one I layered different color petals. You can make them as simple or as fancy as you want. Here's one using the rosemary, which is very, very pretty. A nice bright green color. And you can just keep decorating your cookies until you've used them all up, or you can mix in plain cookies with your decorated ones for a party, but these are great we use them for bridal and baby showers a lot at the bakery. What you don't want to do is bag them. They're not suitable for being like gift bagged because the flowers will crush. So once you've made them, leave them flat or the petals will break off. And at this point you want to let them dry for maybe an hour so they dry on to the cookie and then they will be ready to eat. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed this demonstration of candied flour shortbread, and thank you so much to Art & Bloom for including me in this event. I'm so glad we were able to do it this year, even though part of it is virtual. We definitely missed being part of it over the past year and are happy to share this with you today. Thank you.